Welcome to the Rebel Rebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargie. The Rebel Rebel is a show dedicated to creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. It's a love letter to those people who think audaciously and act courageously in service of making the world a better and more interesting place.
And does anybody know what they want? I'm like, yep, I do. I want to study motorcycle tourism and biker stuff. The title of my project, my thesis, was Understanding Motorcycle Tourism Through a Study of Biker Culture. We are all part of one culture, the human culture.
He grew up an Air Force brat, is a reformed adrenaline junkie. He's a dad, a biker, a global citizen, an entrepreneur, and the founder of Freedom Biker Tours. This conversation goes deep. Welcome, Joseph JD Dubois, to the Rebel Rebel. Across Canada, I've got JD Dubois with me. JD, how the hell are you?
Excellent. Medium rare. Medium rare today.
Nice. Now you're in BC Interior, if memory serves.
Correct. Summerland. Just 10 Ks north of Penticton and about 60 Ks south of Kelowna.
Okay, so JD, tell me, nice headphones, by the way. I might as well call this out because they're looking really good. You're like one of us now. So, JD, what's going on in your world? What's happening in JD's life?
Well, JD's life right now is crazy busy.
Yep.
Between Freedom Biker Tours and then my little consulting firm that I have that I've had since 2005. It's a hotel in Banff in the Canadian Rockies. I do their sales and marketing for them. And at its heyday, I had 15 hotels in my portfolio when I also had my campground here in the Okanagan that I owned for 14 years and operated. But over time, contracts end, hotel ownerships change, things happen. And then COVID happened and, the world blew up.
Yeah, sure did.
Right.
I remember it well. So take me through Freedom Biker Tours right now. Like that's it certainly has my interest. I do want to talk about your other interest as well, but Freedom Biker Tours definitely is it's close to my heart.
Well, mine too. I've been riding motorcycles since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Right. And I did my third post-secondary educational pursuit 10 years ago, and that was a graduate degree, a master's degree. Wow. And I finished it in 2016. I started it in 2013 through Royal Roads University, just outside of Victoria.
Nice. Yeah, I know it well.
So I have a Master of Arts in Tourism Management is the exact, MATM, they call it. I'm allowed to put that on my business card, apparently. But the interesting thing is when they sat us down in the first residency and they said, okay, you need to do a research project as the final 10th component of the study. And does anybody know what they want? I'm like, yep, I do. I want to study motorcycle tourism and biker stuff. and one of the professors who ended up being my supervising professor for my thesis, he rides too, and he's like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard of. No one's ever done that before.
Nice.
So the title of my project, my thesis, was Understanding Motorcycle Tourism Through a Study of Biker Culture.
What? So
it was a year and a half, labor of love. And
sounds really hard, JD. I don't know how you did it.
It was a lot of late nights, believe me. But the end result was, through that study, I realized a couple of important things. One was there was nobody promoting Canada as an international motorcycle touring destination. Nobody. And especially no Canadian-owned and Canadian-operated tour operators were doing it.
Yeah.
And I also realized that something had been lost, over the years. And the old school biker culture, how it started after the Second World War and through the 50s and 60s and into the 70s, the values that brotherhood and that freedom and that authenticity piece and all that had gotten lost. Yeah. And I thought, there's an opportunity to revive that while putting Canada on the map on a global stage as a motorcycle touring destination. So
Wow.
here we are.
Oh, love it. So a couple of things jump to mind right away. And first off is where do these tours take place?
We have 3 tour programs in Canada. And in keeping with the biker culture and terminology, everything is ride the something, something, something. It's not something, something tour. It's ride the.
Yeah.
So we have ride the Maritimes, ride the Canadian Rockies and best of BC, ride the West Coast.
Oh, yes. Okay. So when you say Maritimes, are we talking Cabot Trail?
Well, the Cabot Trail is a big part of the tour out there, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't ridden it, but a buddy of mine, Mike Terry, who was on the show, he sent me some footage of him riding the Cabot Trail, and I fell in love with it. I'm just like, where is this snaky, windy, fiery
Cape Breton Island, man. Cape Breton Island. We're 2 days on Cape Breton Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. And Ride the Rockies, totally get that. There's some great roads in there. And the West Coast, are you like mainland or are you on the island?
Both.
Oh, great.
Yeah, both.
Okay. Wow. Okay. It's awesome. Tell me about biker culture, because I could see where that might turn some people away and turn some people on. So how do you deal with that?
That's an interesting question, because part of the reason why I did that thesis was to dispel a lot of the stereotype that is out there, right? And of course, Hollywood has been working against me in these last years with the shows like Sons of Anarchy and Mayans and that kind of stuff, right? So, biker culture is really, I found a home in the biker culture. They are the nicest, most kindest, helpful, charitable people ever.
Yeah.
Like most of my friends, other than my long-term friends from back in high school and that, most of my friends these days are bikers, motorcycle enthusiasts.
Well, so let's go back in time when JD was a young guy, and I mean, you said you were riding when you were a teenager. What turned you on to bikes, and like what do you think was the thing that drove you this way, to no pun intended, rode you this way?
Well, I've always been a bit of an adrenaline junkie when I was younger, right? The skydiving, the parasailing, the paragliding, you name it. I liked to do it. Now I don't do it so much anymore.
Probably for good reason. We're not as young as we used to be, JD.
No, and I've actually had a couple of injuries. I've actually had 2 motorcycle accidents, and some broken bones and some chronic injuries and that kind of stuff too. They were other people's faults.
Yeah,
but
that's typical.
So what got me into it was just that, the wanting to, the desire to go fast and do fun things and take some risks and that kind of thing. I started riding dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And then in my early 20s, I got into my first street bike, and then, rode that for years. And then I actually got out of it for a little while because I got married.
Yeah.
And I was forbidden to do that. And my ex-wife wasn't into it at all.
Yeah.
But then when we moved up here to the Okanagan 18 years ago and bought the campground and I started my consulting business and all that, I got back into it.
Nice.
And had a couple of motorcycles and then graduated to Harley Davidsons.
Okay.
And joined the Okanagan.
Go ahead.
I joined the Okanagan Hog chapter. Hog, Harley Owners Group.
Harley.
And I'm a life member now nationally in Canada. So all my patches on my back say life member.
Nice.
And all that, and the big hog stuff and everything. So yeah, I found a real family with those people. They're amazing. Amazing people.
That's great. Well, and you say graduated to Harley, and I mean I'm agnostic. If it's got 2 wheels, I'm in. And I love them all. I've ridden them all. What does that mean to you, graduating to Harley?
Well, it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke kind of a thing. I really don't care, and Freedom Biker Tours doesn't care what you ride. It's more about your values, and you share the same passion and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You're right. If it's got 2 wheels and you want to ride it, then come ride with us. I joke to friends of mine that ride other non-Harley branded machines. It's kind of a joke about, graduating and that kind of thing, but it is all tongue in cheek and it's all in good fun.
Yeah. So you're now you used to be a metric guy and now you're a imperial. Is that?
Well, I thought we used to be imperial, and then we became metric. Right now, I'm bilingual now.
by cubic.
Yeah, right.
Fascinating. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I want to dive a little bit deeper into this idea of the Ride for Real and Freedom Biker Tours concept. That it was a master's thesis. You brought it to life, which is really cool. We talk about brotherhood, certainly sisterhood. We see a lot more women riders these days as well, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And what it is, I don't want to spend the entire episode on this, but I'm so fascinated by it. Like, what does a Freedom Biker Tour look like?
Our tours are as close to all-inclusive as you can get. Everything is included. Most of the meals, fuel for the bike, most of the taxes, even gratuities on the meals that are included. We have a support vehicle with snacks, water, soft drinks, first aid kit. We carry the luggage for everybody. Hotel accommodations included, transfers to and from the airport at the start point and end point, attractions, excursions, activities, everything. I mean, there's the odd dinner that's not included depending on where we're staying that night. And that's done on purpose because one of the things I've learned in my 40 years in this industry is, people, when they're on a group tour or a package tour program, they like to have a bit of free time.
Sure.
Right. So in places like Whistler or Banff when we stay for 2 nights, or Penticton here when we stay at my friend's hotel that's right on the lake, we build in at least a half a day and an evening where they can wander the town and be off the bike a little bit and have a bit of free time.
Wow. How long are your days?
The tours, anywhere from 10 to 12 right now. There's a new itinerary I'm working on for next year as well that I think is going to be a total of 13 days.
Wow. And how much time on bike? Like, how long are your people in the saddle for?
On a daily basis?
Yeah.
It varies. It depends on where we're starting and where we're ending that day. And it depends on the activities and the stops throughout the day. Maximum 450 kilometers in a day.
Oh, that's reasonable.
And that's only like maybe one day on one of the given tour itineraries. The rest are average 250 to 350.
That's easy ride.
And we have a lot of photo op stops, pee breaks, fuel stops, lunch stops. Some of our lunches on the tours are picnic lunches where we have a full setup in the sport vehicle and we'll stop, sit by the lake, and we'll all have a picnic. Others are in restaurants or pubs or whatever.
Yeah. What's your favorite ride? Do you have a favorite?
You know what? I don't. I love them all. And the more I explore around the world, I just love to ride, Mike. And ever since I was a kid, exploring and experiencing other cultures and other regions, that has been a fundamental motivation of mine to get out and get in this industry.
Amazing. That's so great. I went and met my eldest son over in the Philippines, and we rented some bikes up in Clark and drove to Subic Bay.
Nice.
And I'd never driven anything in Asia before. So it was a whole new experience. And on a motorcycle, dude, it was so fucking good. Pardon the language. But like, it's like again, you don't know until another culture, but you're on 2 wheels and you're connected to the road. You can smell the cows as they go by,
Yep.
And I don't have to tell you because you ride, but there's something instantly recognizable about being on a bike, roaring down the highway, that you're connected to the universe in a way that most people aren't.
Well, it's a cage-free experience, which is a biker term, right? That I discovered during my research for my thesis, and we use it in our marketing now. Cage-free, throttle therapy. A lot of our taglines are built around that kind of stuff, right? And throttle therapy was a really cool term that I found, and some of the definitions I found are pretty funny. Yeah, my favorite one goes something like, throttle therapy is a term used for time spent on a motorized bike with the intention to feel the effects of either prescription or illegal drugs and the euphoria that brings to you, or something along those lines, right? Right. And of course, cage-free is the reason why a dog sticks its head out the car window, right?
Yeah.
That was another term that I found in my research that I use quite a lot. It's like, duh, that's why we ride.
What other things do you resonate with in the biker culture and what you bring to the world?
The authenticity piece is extremely important. And they're all connected. Brotherhood, authenticity, acceptance, freedom. Those are the 4 core values of Freedom Biker Tours. And they're also my personal values. And they're all interconnected. And I really feel strongly, especially in this last 4 years, since going through the pandemic and all the political disruption that's going on in the world now still too, with the Ukraine and the Middle East and just everywhere. It's just, I really feel that the world has lost its sense of humanity and brotherhood and kindness and helping one another. And that's really one of the fundamental messages that I'm trying to convey with Freedom Biker Tours is, look, you want to ride, you like to ride, you like the open road, you share the same passion, you share the same values, you're not a jerk. So come ride with us. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, forget about your troubles. Put your phone away for 10 days and come on. Let's have some fun. Really, that's what it's all about.
I love it. Where do the bikes come from? Do I bring my own bike? Is it BYOB or is it you supply them?
You can. We have 2 levels of pricing. One is with the rental and one's without rental.
Okay.
And we have people that trailer their bikes, ship their bikes, ride their bikes up to join us. And then we have rental partners as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I had this idea years ago. I didn't go anywhere with it clearly, but I thought it would be really great to have a motorcycle tour company on Vancouver Island. And the idea would be we would ride up, basically you go buy your bike down south in Victoria proper, and we'd ride the bike across the island, maybe over to the Sunshine Coast and back over again and whatever. And then when we were done the tour, we would just crate your bike and send it to wherever you came from.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So, feel free if you want to add that to your...
Okay.
I'd love to be one of your tour guides at some point.
Cool. Well, you should come on one of our tours.
How many people are on a tour?
It varies. I try not to keep the groups too big, right? I don't want to be herding cats, and that. So I'm going to say that maximum number of bikes is probably 10, maybe 12.
Oh, that's a good size.
And then that would also, we'd have to factor in whether everybody's riding 2 up or everybody's riding single or whether there's a mix.
Right.
Right. Because if you got 10 bikes and everybody's riding 2 up, that's 20 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Interesting. Well, how do you, and again, I'm getting into the weeds here, but how do you vet your riders?
Well, one of the things that I like to do right from day one is when I get an inquiry or an actual booking that comes through the website, I pick up the phone and I connect with them right away. And we had a fellow on our Ride the Rockies and Best of BC tour last July, our inaugural tour, and he was from the UK. I won't say his name, but really funny guy. He's a retired taxi driver from London.
Okay.
And he actually, we have testimonials on our website, some video testimonials, and he actually says that that's what sold him on coming over was that when I picked up the phone and called him And I connected with him, and he said, JD's a genuine guy, and I heard his voice, and I knew I could trust this guy. And, he spent his money and came over and rode a Harley over, and he was the funniest. He had a smile on his face the whole time. He'd never ridden a street glide before, a big Harley, right? Wow. So he was learning how to do it, and by the first couple of days, he's cruising along with that machine and just having so much fun. And every time we stopped beside a river or lake, he'd throw on his bathing suit and he'd jump in, and it was great. So
wow,
that personal connection is really important. And I try to do that.
That's nice. And I appreciate that too, JD. I think that's a real good touch. How do you manage international licenses, or do you not worry about that?
Good. No. That's a good question. It's an important question. And as a matter of fact, I had an email inquiry last week from a fellow in the UK again, and he rides a trike. And he said, I ride my trike, but I use my car license to do it. Right. Can I come over and do one of your tours and do that? And I said, no, you can't, because you need an actual motorcycle license over here, right? And so, what you have to have a valid motorcycle license to come on one of our tours. And I have references where I can check and just make sure that the license from another country is valid in Canada or the US. And then we recommend a minimum of 1 year's experience riding a cruiser style motorcycle as well.
Right.
And you got to be 21 or older to rent. You can be under 21 to come on our tours if you ride your own bike. But if you want to rent a machine, you got to be 21 or older.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. Well, it sounds like you got all the I's dotted, T's crossed.
I hope so.
What drives the passion behind tourism for you?
Traveling, experiencing other cultures and other parts of the world. I have a daughter, and she's going to be 27 this coming summer. She's actually over with her fiance in the Mediterranean right now on a cruise. And one of the things that I taught her growing up was never judge. Always take a step back and ask why. Why are they doing that? And when it comes to other cultures, why are they eating that food? Why are they dancing like that? Or why are they wearing their hair like that? I mean, I don't know what it is, but, it could be anything, right? And that never judge, always ask why. And then you can decide if you want to participate in that particular activity or not. And that's fine. But don't criticize and don't judge. Learn. Find out why. Because as far as I'm concerned, we are all part of one culture. Yeah. The human culture. And we're all on the same planet, right? We're all part of the human culture. And that's a driving force behind my desire to travel, since I've been in my early 20s, and why it's still there with Freedom Biker Tours now.
Love that. What's one of your favorite traveling memories?
There's a lot. There's too many. Too many. One of my favorite ones. Well, actually, it's a recent one. It's how I met my fiance. It's how I met Carmen. And I was invited by the Canadian Motorcycle Tourism Association that I'm a member of, and their travel agency division handles all of our ancillary services for our tour participants, bike shipping, airfare, whatever, right? Yeah. And I was invited to come on 2 years ago on a tour program in Northern Alberta for a week to give my input on this thing they were trying to develop on this little tour to showcase small businesses and smaller communities in Alberta. Okay. So I showed up, and Carmen was hired to be the videographer on it. And she'd never been on a motorcycle before.
Oh my God.
And so on the first day, I said, you know what? We should get you a helmet, and you should get on the back of one of our bikes, right? So we were in Edson, Alberta, and we found this little motorcycle shop. And we went in and got her a helmet. She jumped on the back of Tasman, my bike, my personal bike, and she's never gotten off. And we had a blast. We toured around for the whole week and just we got to know a bunch of really cool people and she did all her video work, and we fell in love with each other, and we're now
Oh, man.
engaged, and yeah.
Oh, that's a love story for the ages.
Yeah.
That's congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is outstanding. Wow. What is it that you bring from your multitude of incredible experiences traveling the world into your particular new endeavor, freedom?
What do I bring into it? Well, that's probably a 6 beer story, man. Or
Yeah.
at least a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Just all of the experiences that I've met over the years, and the people that have been mentors to me and friends to me, and the different components of the industry because I've pretty much done everything in this industry that you can do, and I really feel that allows me to really do a good job, not only for Freedom Biker Tours, but also for my hotel in the
Yeah.
Rockies, right? I can bring all those different pieces of the puzzle together. I can bridge the gap between sales and marketing people and operations oriented people that it often exists, and things like that, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really know how to answer that because, I mean, like I said, 40 years is a long time.
It is a long time. It's like baked into your DNA at this point.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel that you just do things now because you know how to do them and you don't think about them much, or is there a lot of thought that goes into stuff? It's a
Both.
weird question, but yeah,
Both. There are some things that happen that I can just react,
Yeah.
and I know the answer and I get it done, and it's real easy. There are other things, oh yeah, I still have to put a lot of thought into it, and I have to, go back and forth to it, 10 times and put it on the side burner for a week or 10 days and come back to it and stuff. So yeah, they're different decisions.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So I know that you're moving, but right now you're, as we mentioned, in the BC interior. And I'm sorry, where exactly are you again?
Summerland.
Like right now? Summerland. And I can't think of a really beautiful street on Summerland, though I'm sure they're all gorgeous, but maybe you're out there. It's, let me paint this picture for you. It's, early summer. And we'll say that it's just past the golden hour, so we don't have to worry about animals, on the road, but it's the heat is just coming up. There's a light breeze. You can smell the flowers of the orchards, and you're cruising along on your bike. What do you wish the world knew? What is the one thing that you wish the world knew? Yeah.
Wow, you're really making me think.
That's what I do.
Yeah, apparently. I wish the world knew how to get back to its humanity, and what I mentioned earlier about the get back to a world where not everybody is so selfish, and it's not all about me. It's about us and we, and what's better for humanity and for the world. Not, I know this sounds utopian and all that kind of stuff, but I really feel that we've lost ourselves, and we need to get back to that. That's what I wish the world knew.
Love that. Thanks for that, JD. That's as you're saying that, it made me think about how I've never seen a biker broken down on the side of the road that's alone for long.
Right.
And that, and again, I got chills even just thinking about that, because it is this thing that we get, the thing that we know that, and it doesn't matter if you're a sport bike, doesn't matter if you're an adventure tour, doesn't matter if you're a custom bike, you got a chopper, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I pulled over for so many people, and people have pulled over for me when there's trouble, or even when I'm not in trouble, people pull up and be like, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yep.
And I love that about our culture.
Yeah.
That,
Agreed.
and if we can, maybe if we all just rode motorcycles, we'd fix it all.
It might solve the fuel issue. If we all rode motorcycles, there'd be a lot more gasoline around for everybody.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to ride one of the early Zero electric motorcycles. Have you tried those yet?
No, I haven't. No.
That's a something.
Is it?
Yeah. It's so much torque.
Really?
Like, yeah, it is. They're so quick. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
How long does the battery charge last?
Well, back then, because they were brand new, and I had one out to write a magazine article on as they first hit the scene, and I want to say that I probably got maybe 200K, like if, but then it was like almost a 24-hour charge.
Okay.
So that made it challenging, but I know that they've done a lot better. Even watching Ewan and Charlie come up from South America on their electric Harleys,
right. Yeah,
that's better, right? So I mean, the technology is getting there, but I think I'd always miss gas.
Yeah, that Harley rumble, you know.
Yeah, there's something about it, something charming about it. Are you? I mean, you're a very studious person, clearly, because you have degrees and a master's. And are you a reader?
Absolutely.
What's on your shelf? What's the thing, books that you go back to?
These last years, there's been a lot of self-awareness books, mental health books. After the accident back in 2016, which was quite serious, I got into meditation, and so I did a lot of research on meditation, that kind of thing, spiritualness. Back after my divorce, and then another breakup after that too, with a girlfriend, I got into relationship reading and that kind of thing.
Good.
Yeah.
You're a deep well, sir.
Thank you.
What do you? So let me ask you this: what do you do just for JD? What's a guilty pleasure for JD?
Travel, riding, absolutely riding my bike, like hands down, going riding. I work out a lot. I exercise a lot. We were at the gym this morning at 5:30. I get up at 5 in the morning and I go to the gym in Penticton and I exercise. So I'm at the gym every second day. So 3-4 days a week at least. Work out for a couple of hours. I like riding bicycles, mountain biking, not serious crazy stuff, but light trail riding and getting exercise that way. Walking, hiking as well, that kind of thing. Kayaking. I have a couple of kayaks, so we go out on Okanagan Lake a lot in the summertime. I used to do boating. When I had my campground, I had 3 different boats, and I was the crazy dad out on the lake with all the kids tubing and skiing and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but I haven't been boating in quite a while. So,
man, as they say, a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Yeah, I used to ski a lot, but it's been about 3 years since I skied. I'm trading in my skis for sunshine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I could. Yeah,
I can't deal with that cold anymore, man.
And here you are moving to Calgary.
I know. Carmen keeps saying to me all the time, really? And we talk to her parents. They're like, yeah, it's -14. I'm like, oh man. Right. But I've traveled a lot. I mean, we were in Nashville 2 months ago for a conference on behalf of my hotel, and it was cold in Nashville, and it snowed down there, and the whole city shut down. They freaked out. They didn't know how to handle it. Right. So all of us Canadians were laughing. It was funny. But the cold, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But living in it, I guess, is one thing, but purposefully going up to the top of a mountain and skiing, that's another thing, right?
Yeah, it is a whole other thing altogether. Yeah. And I mean, I believe this is still true that Calgary and Alberta, but I think Calgary in particular has the most sunshine in all of Canada. I think the most sunny days.
I'm looking forward to those Chinooks that I hear a lot about. So
they're good. It's the ups and the downs. You get like 8 springs. So that's fun.
One of the things that Carmen just put on my desk is something she wanted me to talk about.
Sure.
If I can do that, It's the relationship between PTSD and motorcycling.
Oh, far out. Okay.
Which is another thing that's kind of how it all started. Was back after the Second World War, and you get there was tons and tons of motorcycles left over from the Army, right? And a lot of the veterans to deal with, it wasn't called PTSD back in those days, but that's what it was.
They were shell shocked.
Yeah, but that's what it was. It was PTSD, right?
Yeah.
Well, the camaraderie of getting together and riding motorcycles gave them what they used to have when they were in their units during the war, right? And then the freedom of riding and that little bit of a thrill of, you're going fast on two wheels on the road and all that. It gave them that excitement and that exhilaration as well, too, that they kind of missed that from their activities during the war. And that's how it all started. And it moved through. And now, that's where it's been researched and it's been proven that riding a motorcycle is extremely therapeutic. And in of itself, it's a form of meditation.
Yeah. Gotta believe that.
And, you look at some of these things, like our guide in the Maritimes is a retired Canadian Air Force helicopter navigator. And he's a good buddy of mine, and he helps me do a lot of stuff on YouTube, but he's also our guide out there. And he participates in that, what do they call that ride?
Rolling Barrage?
Exactly. Every year. And that's what the Rolling Barrage is all about. It's about PTSD and awareness and that kind of thing, right? So,
yeah, we had Mike Terry, who I met riding from Vancouver Island. He does tours on his motorcycle across Canada about PTSD as an ex-infantryman. Right. And I ran into him last summer in Ontario. I went to pick up a new bike for my father-in-law. I picked up a new BMW RT 1250.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Did you ride it back from Ontario?
I drove it back from Ontario.
Nice.
It was awesome. But the Rolling Barrage was coming through right then, so I wasn't able to ride with them because they started later in the day. Then I had to leave to get back to Calgary. But I ended up hooking up with Mike because he was riding with his buddies up to Petawawa.
Right.
But great organization and amazing people, and I can't say enough about them. And what they do and what they bring to the world and to all of us. And you're bang on the money with it's almost like Zen, right? Because you have to be in the moment on a bike. You can't be thinking about yesterday. You can't be really worrying about tomorrow.
What was that book? Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Riding or something like that?
Motorcycle Maintenance.
Motorcycle Maintenance. I read that as part of my research.
Oh, nice.
10 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Man.
But I also read the book by Sonny Barger, one of his books, the founder of the Hells Angels. So quite the contrast.
I was going to say, so we won't be doing, what do they call those rides? My biker culture escapes me. I obviously don't have a lot. So we're not going to be running like, drugs down the... Get down to Tijuana or anything like that.
No, won't be doing any runs like that. No.
Okay, good. Okay, here's a question for you. Okay. So, I love this question, and the idea here is that we've got these people. I call them rebels in waiting, or they could just be. Maybe they're thinking about going for like booking a tour with you, but they're worried because they've never been on a bike in Canada, or they've never been on a big bike, or they're thinking about starting their own company. What advice would you give to these rebels in waiting? And I know that's kind of a shotgun question, but
don't do it. No, I'm kidding. Okay, don't wait until you're in your 50s or whatever to do it, and that'd be one idea.
That's a good one. Do you have regrets?
In life generally, or with Freedom Biker Tours, or?
No, I think just a general question. What would you do different?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question honestly.
I love that.
Yeah. When I was 18 years old and graduating from high school, I went down to the Royal Canadian Air Force Recruitment Office because my father joined the Air Force in 1940 at 18 years of age and went through the whole Second World War and then retired in 1970 and then went to work for Transport Canada. I was born on an air base in Baden-Baden, Germany, when he was stationed over there in the 60s for 5 years. Yeah. And so I'm an Air Force brat, is what I am. Yeah. I wanted to follow in my father's footsteps, and I wanted to be a pilot. They wouldn't take me because I had bad eyes. Back in those days, things were a lot different. Right now, it doesn't matter. So I said, well, forget it. I'm not joining the Air Force if I can't, become a pilot. Yeah. I regret that decision. I should have become aircrew. I could have become a navigator. I could have, I would have gone to, college, become an officer. Could have been a member of the aircrew, traveled, been over there in Africa, Kosovo, whatever. A lot of people I know were involved in all those conflicts and those adventures. And I would have got an education out of it. And I still could have got my private pilot's license and had some sort of a career as a pilot, down the road. But I was a stupid 18-year-old.
Mm. Is that something that you carry with you now, or is it have you let that go?
Oh, I've let it go. Absolutely, I've let it go. But I still carry it too, but not in a way that it inhibits me in any way.
Yeah.
No. But I think about it, and I lost my father in 2021 during COVID, 3 weeks after his 99th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, and I miss him a lot. We had a great relationship. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm sorry, but it's nice to hear that you had great times with him.
Yeah,
and that sounds like a life well lived as well.
Oh, he had a good run. Yeah,
good stuff.
He did.
It's like a complete left turn because that's what I'm all about.
Fire away, man.
Yeah. Your favorite? What's your favorite food?
I got a few. All right,
hit me. Give them all.
Pizza.
I want them all. Okay. You can't just say pizza. What kind of pizza? Thickness of the crust, cheese on top.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thin crust, thick crust, lots of sauce, lots of meat, onions. A little bit of spiciness to it, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Crispy crust. I don't like soggy, floppy crust. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love barbecued steak. I think Carmen would tell you that I make the best marinated barbecued steak on the planet.
What's the secret?
Oh my God. It's whatever I got in the cupboard. And I just kind of close my eyes and go like this into the marinade, and I marinate them for usually 2 days beforehand. Wow. And oh yeah, I love a good steak. And I don't know, after that, Italian food is good. I like a nice bottle of white wine and some good pasta. And the bread with the oil and vinegar, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's and cheese. I'm a cheese aholic. Like you name it, cheese, pate, a bottle of wine. I'm in heaven, man. I'm good to go.
Yeah. You're doing the cannonball run up to Armstrong cheese.
Right.
That's amazing. Oh, well, JD, this has been an absolute ride. I love this so much. Thank you for what you're bringing to the world. And I really do appreciate your worldview. And I really do hope that, we make that change. We turn that corner, that we can help each other be better humans and live a cage-free existence. So thank you.
I hope so too. Michael. It's, we need it. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on the show. Very grateful. Very grateful.
My pleasure. This has been a time well spent, and I can't wait to go riding with you.
Come ride. Absolutely. Well, you're in Calgary. I'm going to probably be over there soon. So even if it's just a casual Saturday afternoon or something, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll go up through the Rockies and we'll do the 1A or something.
Absolutely.
Up to Canmore. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I look forward to it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
I've been your host, Michael Dargie, and this has been the RebelRebel Podcast. It's a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. And hey, if you're a rebel or you know a rebel, why don't you head on over to the RebelRebelPodcast.com and fill out our guest request form. We'll get back to you within 24 hours, and maybe we can share your story with the world. Don't forget to like, share, or subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Until next time.